Well, when you were still in the music world and you were shifting into communication with animals, was that a difficult transition? I'm just speaking from my experience. It was a little earlier than that in the 90s, but coming from the world of science and medicine, it was a hard transition because this is not based on proof and logic and reasoning and scientific principles. And I'm wondering if the transition from the music world might have been easy because it's a more creative, intuitive kind of process, it would seem.
In certain ways, perhaps, but in other ways, no. And that may have something to do with the fact that I was in the classical music world and I was also in academic circles. And so the academic classical music world is very intellectually oriented. And while the intuitive, creative, expressive part of it is certainly there, it rides alongside of this very academic and intellectual, uh, in a certain way, um, non-intuitive kind of world, right? And so it's both and the classical music world is also quite competitive, and there's all of those aspects of it. So, in the sense that I had already cultivated this way of listening, what I would call deep listening, in as a musician, and deep contemplation of what the composer was trying to express when they wrote the music, and then what my role was as a performer in translating that expression. That's where I see the overlap, right, of the translating and the really feeling into what the composer was up to when they wrote whatever it was that they wrote, and then communicating the essence of that, filtered through, of course, my own perspective, my own awareness, my own uh, life experiences, all of that. So balancing that in much the same way that we do with interspecies communication, right? That I think made it easier, and it also I had cultivated a lifestyle that allowed me to do what I needed to do as a musician, which included a lot of quiet, a lot of alone time, a lot of discipline, a lot of uh, that way of being, of just myself with the instrument and listening. And so I think in that way also there's overlap. But in other ways, it was quite difficult. And most of the people who were my colleagues and friends in the music world probably thought I had really lost my mind when I made the shift and really left the music world and started doing this full time.
I know that one very well.
Yeah.
We're seen as crazy woo-woo lunatics, I think
Right,
sometimes.
right.
But
That's
it's changing. Don't you think it's
and
changed a lot in the last 5, 10 years,
it
especially?
has changed so much. It has changed so much. And there's so much more awareness, both in the general public and then also in the academic and scientific communities. And, really, I mean, I think about the number of veterinarians and veterinary professionals, veterinary nurses, who are coming and seeking training through my classes now, right?
Oh,
And,
wonderful.
and
That's
that
great.
you and I both have been involved with the research through the University of Saskatchewan and that project, and then all of the other research projects that are happening now. There's just this explosion of understanding and interest, and it's a really exciting time to be in the field because I think it really is moving into more of a mainstream awareness and a mainstream acceptance. And I no longer assume that when I tell people what I do, they're going to look at me, with a look of wondering if I'm a little bit off my rocker or way out there in the woo-woo field, because so many more people have an understanding and awareness of this now.
Yeah, very exciting. And the project that Avantika is starting is
Right.
super exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah, to
yeah,
actually give some I think she's going to just be giving some validation to this whole field
Yes.
and deepening it. So,
Yes.
yes. So, that's great.